Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Hopefully, you can all hear me okay and see the slides that are on screen. I'm Barry Coombs, CTO here at Cascade, and today is all about kind of summarizing, giving you the details from what we shared at our annual conference, Define Tomorrow. Define Tomorrow takes place normally every year, although we did move from November to February this year. And we aim to kind of bring the best of the conferences around the world of content that is going to be relevant to you as an IT manager or an IT specialist, leading their business in their transformative journeys and helping them keep them secure. So, as ever, we had about 200 of Cascade clients and friends join us at Ashton Gate Stadium. It was actually our biggest conference yet, and we had some fantastic sponsors like Microsoft, Dell, Orchestra, Gamma, and many more people there talking to the attendees around the trends that they're seeing, what's going on in the industry, along with we had a single stage this year with some fantastic speakers. One speaker was flown in all the way from America, another came in from Ireland. So we really try and get the best speakers in the industry together in the West Country to make sure that you have the best help and advice. I'm guessing you're attending today because unfortunately you couldn't be there. And we really would love to see you there next year. I think you do get the best experience where you're able to join in person. But I'm going to try and summarize some of the key messages that we shared on the day that hopefully will be helpful for you when you're considering your IT strategy and maybe your projects for the rest of the year. So the conference was opened up by myself as a CTO at Cascade with the experience that I've got, but also the conversations I have with our customers. And I reflected on three of the biggest trends that I think that we're seeing at the moment. The first of those, and I'm going to dig into each of these individually in a moment, is the opportunity and impact to AI. And when we're speaking to people, they're kind of either trying to ignore it or maybe some are embracing it. I know that certainly I've had conversations with some of you on this webinar. I know some of you are really looking to embrace it and see how it can change your business. So we're going to talk a little bit more around that. The second point, and this is the point that I see a lot of people now spending a lot of time on it, is how are you building your digital fortress? What is your security strategy? How have you changed your strategy since you've maybe adopted more cloud applications? Your users might be more hybrid working than they once were. And building that digital fortress is something that I see lots of people now investing more money in to make sure that they are protected. They don't want to be the next big news story. And the final element that I'm going to dig into is sort of industry dynamics driving changes. Over the last year, we've seen a huge amount of change with inside our clients. We've seen more acquisition mergers than we've ever had before. And this is a real point of complexity when it comes to technology. Trying to bring companies together or indeed separate them has lots of technical changes. And certainly if that's something that you're going through, then make sure that you're having a chat with us here at Cascade because we're doing this day in, day out. But it's not just that, it's the systems that people are using are changing. AI is getting involved there. People are looking for more from the technologies that they're using to make sure that it's serving the business well. So let's kind of double click on each one of those and go into it in a little bit more detail. So the first one is from the Microsoft 2024 Work Trend Index. And I don't know if anybody on this webinar has ever read this report. It comes out each year, and it's a really good insight into things that are going on, normally around the modern workspace. So recommend that maybe type that into Google, go and have a look at the report yourself. But 79% of leaders agree that their company needs to adopt AI to stay competitive. And this is really interesting because I think there are different perceptions, there are different viewpoints, there are different strategies people are having to AI at the moment. But undoubtedly, it is going to it's going to change every facet of the way that we interact with technology, every way that we work, and even inside of our personal lives. So it really depends on what your business strategy is and how the use of AI is going to interact with that. Some people are looking at things like Copilot as to how can they be more effective, and we've got a little bit more on that in a moment. Other people are looking at AI built into their business systems, helping them to get important critical business analytics out of their data. But the one thing that everybody needs to do is think about the impact on AI could have on their business. Now, at the conference, I asked everybody to raise their hands as to whether they believed the users were using AI on a day-to-day basis. So this might not be tools that you're providing your users with. It might be third-party tools like ChatGPT. And have you really considered what the security implications are with your company's data in whatever form being shared on these platforms? Over 80% of the audience raised their hands to believe that shadow AI, the next iteration of shadow IT, is something that probably is going on inside their business. And because of this, it means that we need to consider what the AI strategy is. Your AI strategy might be we're not going to do anything, but we do need to educate the users on the dangers of sharing information with platforms like ChatGPT that might not be as secure. Your information might be going to build their LLM. And we've seen situations where I think Samsung and other people have had code that has been shared in those platforms that has then been able to be sourced by other people using those platforms. So we really do need an AI strategy, however mature you want to be, however much you want to invest, as to what is your balance between the opportunity and the risk. And we've got a little bit more on this in a moment. The second point then is roughly 44 billion was lost last year because of businesses suffering cyber attacks, in the last 5 years. So this came from the Howden Global Insurance Group. And what was interesting, this number was derived from only one single attack per organization. So secondary attacks weren't there. And we're starting to see cyber attacks being more common, and certainly I'm seeing them being a lot more targeted. On a weekly basis, I'm hearing of people that have succumbed to MFA man-in-the-middle attacks. If you believe having MFA on your Microsoft 365 account is more secure, you would be right. But if you believe it's all you need to do to be secure, you'd be very wrong. The threat actors are constantly evolving what they're doing. They're constantly changing their techniques, and tricking people into providing MFA tokens is very much business as usual for them. We're also seeing other types of targeted attack at the moment having big ramifications. We've got a little bit more on cybersecurity later, and I'll also talk about a free workshop that we're running that we actually ran in person at Define Tomorrow, and we got some really good feedback about. So if cybersecurity is something that you're looking at, maybe you're thinking, look, we do a lot, but maybe we're not doing everything we need to. We need to be looking and considering how we mature our strategy. At Cascade, being a systems up security specialist is something we've done for many years. And we're helping many organizations from the smallest to our largest customers help to ensure that their security posture is constantly evolving and staying ahead where possible of where the threat actors are. And then the last one around sort of the industry dynamics, this is probably something that's going to resonate with many of you. Over 50% of VMware customers are looking to move due to the Broadcom acquisition. And this was based on a survey run by the Register in 2024. We all know that VMware, the face of VMware, is now changing under Broadcom. Hock Tan at VMware Explore said that not everybody will see the value in VMware and be willing to pay for that. We move on. Very much a statement of we realize we're no longer for everyone. And we've been on this journey where server virtualization has been the trend that everyone did for many years. And VMware was easily the market leader in that space. But now they are very much focusing on those organizations that want a private cloud as part of their hybrid cloud strategy. If you just need a server environment to run a few servers, it might not align for you anymore. And we've got a little bit more information at the moment as to what we're seeing in that space to give you some options that actually, if VMware's looking too expensive, if you're not aligned with their strategy anymore and vCloud Foundation isn't in your future journey, now's probably the time to consider what your strategy is and what your next steps are. So we're also looking at what is going on in the wider industry. So I put together a bit of a tech bulletin to kind of just make sure that you're aware of a few things that you might need to know for your strategy this year. So the first one, January 2024, Windows Server 2019 is now end of mainstream support. That does mean there's still extended support, but what this should be telling you is now's the time to be considering that maturity of that operating system before in a few years it ends up the end of extended support. And certainly if you're on anything older than this, certainly anything 2012 you should have gotten rid of by now, otherwise it is a security risk to your business. And 2016 is something that you should be well on the way from removing from your environment. We've also seen Windows Server 2025 release. So hand in hand, this is something that you should be considering. What is your strategy of your workloads that are on servers? I'd be asking the question, why are they on servers? Are you considering SaaS or PaaS options for those workloads? The biggest thing that I see lots of people focusing on this year is Windows 10 end of life. You are going to need to make sure that you've removed those from your estate. Many people are looking to make sure their Intune and autopilot environments are very mature, and I've got a little bit more on that a little bit later. You will want to consider what is the minimum hardware requirements for Windows 11, and are the devices that you have up to speed, or is now the time to kind of refresh a portion of your estate? And definitely our IAM team here at Cascade are helping lots of our customers with providing those devices, along with our consultancy team that are ensuring that it's as quick and easy for your users to adopt those new devices as they need to be. And the second biggest one for me is that vSphere 7 end of support. So vSphere 8's been out for some time now. VMware are working on even the next iterations of that. And you've now got until October the 2nd. It was originally April, to make sure you've upgraded to the latest versions. But it might not be that easy. We're seeing lots of the hardware platforms such as SANs, the old SE series SANs from Dell, maybe some of the Nimble SANs and things like that, are now no longer on the HCL for vSphere 8. So that next upgrade might not be as easy as you anticipate. It might be the time to consider your wider strategy, which we'll come to in a moment. So what does this all mean? I mean, ultimately, there's a lot going on in the industry, whether it's the opportunity and impact of AI, whether it is the fact that you're going to need to move on from VMware. Maybe you've got a large amount of Windows 10 in your environment that you just need to move on from. There are lots of changes going on, and you need to keep on top of it. So we kind of invite you to consider what is next on your journey. How are you planning out the year? What are the projects that you're looking to achieve that's going to move that needle forward? And anyone that's ever spoken to me before, you know my kind of belief that every organization should have a vision. What is the journey? Where are you trying to head to? Because that means that you can make sure that every step on that journey, you're inching closer and closer towards your vision. Your vision will change year by year. You will want to mature it, but you want to make sure that you're constantly making progress towards that vision. If you work with us at Cascade, or if you'd like to, please feel free to reach out to your account manager. I've helped many customers not create their strategy. It's all part of a collaborative relationship where I'm able to help contribute to it. But it's about setting that clear guidance so you can separate it into bite-sized chunks, so make sure that it's afforded, to make sure that it's in your budget, to make sure that you're moving forward. And that's why us here at Cascade have developed a large amount of services, helping our customers ensure that they're achieving their goals, help ensure that step by step, they are concentrating and focusing on what matters inside their organization. Whether it's the fact that you've looked at your backup, and actually your Veeam backup server is one of your biggest risks due to the increased vulnerability when ransomware is deployed inside your organization. Whether it's the fact that actually you need some enhanced security services, you can't keep on top of your VMware environment, or just need a little bit of third-party support, we've got a full range of services that we're now helping many of our customers with. I think it's well over half of our customers have got Cascade services that they're buying from us to help them as we join them as an extension to their IT team. So that was a quick summary of what my initial keynote was, but I was ever so lucky to then be followed by Ape Obang Ojue from Microsoft. He's a director from Microsoft Channel. So any of you that probably typically the size of businesses that Cascade work with, Ape has a responsibility for the teams that are out there connecting with you and the products that are going onto the shelf that you are consuming. And it probably won't be a surprise to you that Ape was reflecting a lot on AI and some of those bits that I was saying around the impacts and the opportunity with AI. Very much they say that AI is shifting businesses, and that AI should be able to be inclusive for everybody. Every single individual should have a sidekick, a co-pilot, helping them in what they're doing. Every single process inside your organization should be able to be automated to make life easier, to make it repeatable, to make sure that it has less mistakes. Every organization should have a co-pilot helping and guiding it on what it's doing on a daily basis. And every industry should have a co-pilot. And this is part of Microsoft's dream and vision, that they want to take AI to the level where it is ingrained to the business. And very much what we're seeing with AI, with many organizations such as Microsoft, is they're seeing AI and agents to be the next user interface. So they think people are going to less interact with a user interface, but more interact with agents to get what they need. And certainly if you're like me, I use Copilot and less so ChatGPT on a daily basis, depending on what it is that I'm trying to achieve. If I'm starting in a spreadsheet or I'm starting in PowerPoint, typically I'm starting with Copilot to help me gather my thoughts, to look at options and opportunities that are available when I'm utilizing those platforms. So there's a lot to consider there with what AI is going to do inside your business. There's been a lot of focus on, well, it's very expensive, £30 per user per month. But how much time could be saved? How much benefit does it have to give a user to be able to recoup that £30 per user per month? But don't forget, there's also free versions of Copilot available. But what is really important to consider is your security. Where is your data? And that's when Microsoft give the guarantees around your data when used with AI to make sure that you can be confident that your data is secure. You're not going to end up with someone coming and trying to sue you for copyright because AI has helped you create a document, that you have the confidence to utilize AI in what you're doing. Now, we're working on some really exciting things alongside Microsoft, which I'll come to in a moment, to help organizations get the most of it. But some of the advice that Ape gave you around how do you seize the opportunity is first look, how can you enrich the employee experiences? Those day-to-day tasks that your employees are doing. Where are the challenges inside your organization? Are there tasks that have to happen? Are there always bits of data that people struggle to get and find? How can you use AI copilots or copilot agents or the Copilot Studio to help the employee experience be enriched, to help it be more slick? We're seeing people look at maybe HR processes and people being able to get advice around their organization, be leveraged inside of the business. The next one then is reinvent customer engagement. So how are you, or how could you use AI to reinvent the customer experience? Ape used an example of a theatre, and if a theatre knew that a certain person coming really liked champagne, and it was able to correlate that by previous spends, then could they make sure that they're advertising things to that user that are very relevant to them, that not only could result in increased revenue for the organization, but could it actually improve the experience of that person going and visiting the theatre? We've got to think outside the box. And what I would invite you to do is not be bound by what you think is possible, but almost document, in an ideal world, there'd be a great value to our business if we could do this. And set that as kind of a challenge to yourself, to your partners like Cascade and others, to go, could we use AI to help us with this challenge that we've got inside our business? Next, how do you reshape business processes? What are those processes inside your business that take too long, that have too many clicks involved, that have too many bits of paper, God forbid, involved in the process, that actually just need to be a lot slicker? Could AI be helping you there? You've got the AI factory inside of Azure that can be used to further extend past what Copilot is able to offer you in Microsoft 365. There are many different facets available to how AI can help you inside your organization. And business processes is one of those where you can really see the return on investment really quickly, because it's maybe a little bit more tangible than the employee experience or the customer engagement. And finally, you've got to kind of go out there and look at how you're going to monetize that AI as part of your business. And I went to a Dell conference recently, and they said, reflect on, why does your business do what it does? Why is your business special? Why do your customers work with your business? And actually, can you use AI to help bottle some of that up? Is there a value in some data that you hold that people would pay for access to? And these are all the things that AI could maybe unlock for your business. So Ape spoke for a while, and actually we're just about to publish his session on YouTube. We recorded, it was one of the only sessions that we recorded at Define Tomorrow. So we'll be putting that out there. I encourage you to think about what you're doing with AI and how you could leverage that. But Ape was followed up by Joy Apple from Orchestra. Joy is a fantastic Microsoft MVP that focuses on SharePoint and user experience. And of course, she was further extending that conversation in AI. And for any of you that are listening at the moment, that are like, please stop talking about AI. I've had enough of it. This is the last small bit on AI now. So Orchestra are a fantastic product that help you gain control of your Microsoft 365 environment. We've probably all got that drawer. For me in my house, it's in my kitchen, that is full of old cables, cable ties, batteries, drawing pins. I think I've got some old Nokia 3310s in there and things like that. Many people's Microsoft 365 environments end up looking exactly the same way. Too many teams, too many users, too many groups, data all over the place. Orchestra is a fantastic tool that allows you to gain control of your Microsoft 365 environment. More importantly, it allows you to delegate responsibility to users while still keeping control. It's one of our fastest growing products that we're talking to customers about, and they offer a free trial, which I think we've got a QR code in a moment to come up to, where you can actually see it in action, and actually Orchestra will help implement it for you so you can actually see the tool in action. But Joy was reflecting on what she sees as the most two important things when it comes to Copilot readiness. And the first one, irrespective of where you are on your AI journey, I think is the most important one: content readiness. We see so many people that have adopted Microsoft 365, but when I ask them, where are your files located, they're still telling me that they have file shares with huge amounts of data that need to be gone through, and that they haven't looked at how they're going to be moving that into Microsoft 365. If you're going to be leveraging AI by any shape or means, you need your data to be accessible to AI. And the easiest way to do that is your migration of your data into SharePoint. Make sure that's aligned with your team strategy to make sure that the data is going into the relevant places where your users will need to be able to access it. This is a big project. It is a big undertaking, but it is something that you'll be able to reap the rewards from the collaborative nature that you can handle documents inside Microsoft Teams. But it's also the benefit to be able to unlock the benefits of AI in the future. So that's the first thing that people have been putting off for too long, and it's probably something you should be focusing on now. The second point is user education. We're seeing lots of organizations get Copilot licenses and just keep them inside IT. That will not give you real world experience as to how you can see the return on investment inside your organization. You need to get it into the hands of the users. And when you get it into the hands of the users, you need to make sure they know how to maximize it. How are they going to be utilizing it? Things like prompt engineering. Do they know how to create the perfect prompt to help them get the right output from AI? And this is a big area where maturity is needed across lots of organizations. So we've got something quite exciting to share with you. Hopefully this video works, but let me click the video and I'll go into it some more detail. So at Define Tomorrow, we launched the Cascade Copilot Academy. So if you are a Microsoft CSP customer through Cascade, if you buy your Microsoft 365 licenses through Cascade, or if you buy some Copilot licenses through us, your users will get free access to the Cascade Copilot Academy. Starting towards the end of this month is a 6-week program aimed to help your users maximize their licenses in Microsoft 365 Copilot with prompt engineering, real life examples of how it can be utilized and things like that. So if this is something that is relevant to you, please make sure that you speak to your account manager or reach out to us to find out how you can leverage the Copilot Academy. And this is also part of Adopt 365. So don't forget, if you buy your licenses through Cascade, you will get access to our complete library of Microsoft 365 training. I think Megan has shared some information in the chat there that might be useful. And also, if you would like to understand how Orchestra can help you detangle that mess that is like your kitchen drawer of your Microsoft 365 environment, reach out for a no obligation demo to understand how it could help your organization. So I promise that's the AI bit done now. We're now going to move on to the other focuses. And we kind of moved on to modern management now from that perspective. So we were very lucky to be for Will Connor from Enforcer to join us to talk around Microsoft 365 security and modern management. And he further joined us on stage with Andy Isles, our senior cloud consultant, and Ollie Restrick, our Microsoft specialist, to talk all around Microsoft 365, the security in Microsoft 365, but also what you need to do to ensure that your Windows 11 migration is as seamless as possible. So let's break that down into a few chunks. So I think the first part was all around Microsoft 365 security and Microsoft 365 security defaults. There's a lot of policies in Microsoft 365 even before you get into Intune. And there's a lot of ways that you can configure Microsoft 365 to make sure that you are secure, but your users are still able to make the most from that platform. Now, there are a set of security benchmarks called the CIS benchmarks that recommend how you should be configuring things like Intune to stay secure. But part of the problem is it is constantly changing and constantly evolving. Ollie highlighted two elements on stage. So the first one is the compliance settings. And I think this is one of the default options that says, mark devices with no configuration. So this might be where you've misconfigured Intune and not put a configuration against a device, but it will mark it as compliant, even though it could be a really unsecure configuration for that specific device. And a little bit more kind of ridiculous from that example was this example on screen, where the default is to allow users to consent for apps, which we're actually seeing as one of the attack vectors that is being used by threat actors. And even though it's the default one, the message underneath says, you really shouldn't be doing this. There are these settings all over Microsoft 365 that you need to be considering to ensure that your environment is secure. And furthermore, you should be looking at how you're kind of securing your Microsoft 365 environment. Typically, you'll have access to log files for about 30 days. And anyone that's tried to trawl through the log files for Microsoft 365, it can be very painful. If you look at the NCSE standards, they recommend that you should be keeping log files for at least 6 months, and you should be getting proactive insights from those log files to help keep you secure. And one of the things that we're seeing is things like MFA man-in-the-middle attacks happening more often and not being spotted because it is lost in the noise of what else is going on inside your Microsoft 365 environment. Just this week, we saw a customer be onboarded to our Microsoft 365 security platform that a user had actually been victim to a cybersecurity breach. But this hadn't previously been noticed because nothing untoward was going on. There was no ransomware attack going on. They were just planning the attack from inside that user's mailbox, setting up things like maybe forwarding rules, looking for emails that give them clear bits of data as to how they can be adjusting things like invoice payments in specific files and things like that. It tends to be a much more softly approach that we see with these attacks. So certainly it's something you need to consider as to what is the right balance between control and flexibility for your users. And it really does help to have a service like the Cascade Monitor M365 in place that helps you get that overarching view of what's going on. But we moved on that conversation to the Windows 10 to Windows 11 migrations. And what we're seeing with most organizations now is that Intune is being used and adopted. And this is going to be the best way to make sure that you are moving from that Windows 10 to Windows 11 by that October timeframe. But what you want to be considering is how confident are you in your Intune configuration? Is it just there to scratch the surface? Have you got deployment of applications sorted? What policies have you selected and how well is that aligned to things like the CIS benchmarks? You want to make sure that this is a slick and easy process for both you as an IT administrator and from the users, but ultimately you're using it as an opportunity to enhance your security in a really critical area. And this is where we kind of look at autopilot. So the default way that you should be looking to roll out new devices with Windows 11 is Microsoft 365 Autopilot or Windows Autopilot. The ability that if you have a well-configured Intune environment plus Autopilot will mean that a device can get delivered straight to your user. They'll be able to log in and every single application, every single setting will able to be migrated over to that device and it will be able to be configured in not just the most secure manner, but the most slick manner to drive employee experience. We are constantly delivering these projects at the moment. In fact, we have a couple of months delay due to the amount of projects we're helping customers with, because Intune has gone from a nice to have to a must have in the way that you should be managing Windows devices and also managing your mobile devices. So it's an area to consider. And it's an area at Cascade that we're trying to help customers with and mature on a regular basis. So Cascade Managed Workspace is a service that we're going to be launching later on this year. It's going to help with your Microsoft 365 monitoring and remediation. If you need help, support to get your Intune configuration just right to troubleshoot a problem, we're there to help with that. An important feature that we've got is we will back up and do change control for your Microsoft 365 policy and your Intune policy. This isn't something that Microsoft offers out of the box. And that will mean that if someone inside your organization is made some changes, maybe something broke, we're able to revert those changes for you and pinpoint exactly what has happened. We are able to help align your Microsoft 365 policies against Cascade best practices, and we align ourselves to the CIS standards. So kind of like something like the ITIL framework, we're not going to suggest you implement everything. It would mean that it's too locked down and probably not there. We're taking the best of the settings that we see are most commonly deployed for our clients, as well as 20 settings that we've identified as being the biggest risk inside Microsoft 365 today to help ensure that you are there where you need to be. We're also able to help that horrible task of patch management on your desktops. It isn't just the Windows side of things, it is also the third-party applications where the risk is from zero-day attacks. So yeah, there's lots of different options there. And if you are in this space and you're looking at how you are going to mature your workspace experience, you've got a Windows 11 project, you need to make sure your Microsoft 365 is more secure, you need to have a look at desktop patch management, please reach out to us to see how we could help. So we move on. So out of the world of end user computing now, far away from the world of AI, we're kind of now looking at the hybrid cloud story. So what is going on in your data center or inside the cloud environment? As I touched upon earlier, with the increases that we're seeing with Broadcom acquisition to VMware, we're seeing lots of customers paying 300 to 400% more than they were previously. So from a VMware strategy, you've kind of got three options. Are you embracing VMware? Are you looking to deploy VCF? Are you looking to build a private cloud inside your environment? Are you looking to remove VMware? Is now the time to look at other hypervisors? People are looking at things like Azure Local or Nutanix or Hyper-V. Maybe you've had enough and now's time to move on, but you're not ready for a complete cloud environment at the moment. Or finally, are you looking to re-platform everything? Is now the time to move to PaaS and SaaS platforms and move those maybe remaining workloads up to infrastructure as a service? So one of those three options is probably where most people on this call are aligned to, unless you've already made that migration away from those platforms. And what Mark was talking about, which is very much aligned with the Cascade strategy, is Azure Anywhere. So the whole point of this is to stop thinking about Azure as something about where you move your workloads into the cloud. Azure is now available in multiple different facets in multiple different ways. So Azure Local is one of the biggest growing solutions that we're selling here at Cascade. So think of it as your VMware environment. It can be as small as one node. As ever, I'd never recommend one node. Have two nodes for high availability. And you deploy it on premises, but manage it in Azure. So it's using the best of things like Hyper-V, but the management and policies that come with Azure. And the benefit here is most of our customers are saying that we're on a journey to Azure. They're on a journey of wanting to mature what is going on inside their data center, but maybe they're not ready for all of their workloads to go there today. So what Azure Local will do is it will allow you to be able to have a little bit of Azure in your data center. Maybe you prefer more of a CapEx spending model than an OpEx spending model. It kind of gives you a best of both worlds from that perspective. So you've got options. What is your journey? What do you need to be doing when it comes to looking at your data center? When's the hardware due to refresh? Is vSphere 7 upgrade going to cause you problems? All of these are things where we're helping customers at the moment come up with their strategy. So if you're considering Azure for the first time, we recommend by starting a server and application review. A service catalog is a great place to start, listing out all the services that you as a business deliver to your users, and then linking them to where are they hosted today. You can also ask questions like, what is the ROI? Sorry, what is the RPO? What is the RTO? What is the strategy for this application moving forward? The next step on here is if you're looking to move to Azure in any shape or form, make sure Azure is ready for you. Make sure it's secure. Make sure it's ready for your workloads you want to bring over to that. So Microsoft have got a concept called an Azure landing zone. It isn't a technology that you configure. It's a group of technologies, policies, configurations that are matched to your organization. It's making sure that if you're going to build a house, that the foundations are suitable for where you're going to be taking it. There's no point building a mansion on a foundation of sand. And equally, there's no point building a shed on a foundation that would cope with a multi-story skyscraper. It's about preparing the policy, the security, the billing, the subscriptions, the roles, all around what you need to be doing in Azure. If you're using Azure in any shape or means, make sure that you've got a landing zone configured. Make sure you know how it's been configured and ask the question, how does this align to the CAF, the Cloud Adoption Framework? The next thing is make sure that you are considering that bigger picture. If you're moving to Azure or Azure Local, what does this mean for your backup? What does this mean for your DR? Are there other technologies that integrate with workloads inside your virtual environment? Now, we are seeing lots of people reconsider their backup and DR at the moment, and I'll come to that in a little bit more. And then plan your initial migrations. And you can choose, are they migrating from VMware to Azure Local, or are they migrating from VMware straight up into Azure in the cloud? Different horses for different courses, different things will work for different people. Whichever way you're looking to go, this is what Cascade does day in, day out to help make sure that your journey to Azure, to the hybrid cloud is slick, it's easy to management, that is pain-free is what we're doing with customers. But maybe you're already on Azure. Maybe you're sat here going, yeah, that's very interesting, Barry, but we did this 2 years ago. What should we be doing if we're in Azure today? So let's take a look at that. So first of all, as I've already mentioned, I asked you the question, is your landing zone fit for purpose? And I've got to say, too many customers say back to me, Barry, what's a landing zone? A landing zone, whilst it is something that you should have in place before you move your workloads, it is something that is constantly there and it constantly needs to be reviewed to make sure that it is aligned to not only the latest CAF standards, but also making sure it's keeping up with your standards for what you need to be achieving. So if you've not reviewed your security and policy inside Azure recently, now is probably a good time to go and do that. Make sure that you're optimizing your resources. Far too many people are spending far too much money in Azure, whether it's you're not looking at reserved instances, whether it's over provisioned resources, maybe it's ghost resources, like things like disk that have been left behind. We can help you with that. We do a free cost optimization assessment that helps you get to the point of knowing that you're spending the right amount in Azure and investing that money wisely. You never know, maybe we'll help you save some money so you can buy some Copilot licenses. I'm sorry, I did have to bring up AI one last time. Is it time to refactor? So did you move things like file servers, SQL servers as VMs into Azure? Do you need to start looking at those as workloads that you could move onto platform as a service to make sure they run better, to lower the attack footprint, and to make sure maybe that they're more cost effective and getting the benefit of some of the other features in Azure? And then finally, how can you innovate? If you're just running VMs in a different place, are you really gaining any benefit from having it in Azure? There are so many, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of services now available in Azure that we can help you understand how you can leverage them to do more inside your organization. So from the perspective of your environment, think about what is your strategy? Where are you today? Are you on premise with VMware and need to consider what your next steps are forward? Are you already starting your Azure journey, but maybe need to revisit what is going on with your Azure landing zone? Or you're in Azure and you're going, actually, we need to reconsider backup and DR. And this is very much where we then went with Ian Heptinstall from Druva. So Druva are our partner that power our Cascade backup service that is actually our most popular service here at Cascade. And fundamentally, the way that you back up your workloads has changed. Lots of us used Veeam back in the day to back up our virtual environments. And this was a brilliant way to do it when all of our servers were consolidated into one, maybe two virtual environments. It was quick, it was easy, and to use their terminology, it just works. But the world has changed. First of all, from an attack vector perspective, because of Veeam's popularity, during ransomware attacks, we often see the Veeam server as the first server that is encrypted. Hopefully using things like Veeam copy jobs to copy your data somewhere else where it's immutable, but so many people aren't, and the Veeam server ends up the first target to any attack. Second of all, then we see people then using differing technologies to back up all their different workloads. Maybe we've still got Veeam on premises in the VMware. We're using Azure backup inside of Azure, and maybe we're using something like Skykick or Barracuda to back up your workloads in Microsoft 365 before you even look at any other workloads that you might have inside your organization. When we virtualized our servers, we brought everything together. It was easier to manage. We were managing single VMs rather than hundreds and thousands of files when it came to backup. Now we've gone to cloud, we've fragmented everything. Our data is now all over the place. But even more concerning is your backup is now all over the place. You don't have a single view of all of your backup policies, all of your backup success to keep an eye on. And this is exactly what Cascade Backup does that is powered by Druva. It's a next-gen cloud backup service. It doesn't require capital outlay. It is a service. As soon as your data is backed up, it is off-sited, and there are free copies of your data, at least free copies of your data, held in the secure cloud that is all within the UK. It unifies your backup across VMware, Hyper-V, Azure Local, Microsoft 365, and Azure VMs. All from one console, you see everything being backed up. Us here at Cascade will help and support you to ensure that your backups are being successful. So now you can go away and take that holiday in confidence that someone else has got an eye on it for you. It is also able to offer you enhanced ransomware protection, and this is what we're increasingly seeing, is that you should be expecting intelligence from your backup technology. Is it able to highlight to you the early signs of a ransomware attack going on before your data ends up encrypted? And if it is encrypted, is it able to allow you to create a recovery point that is orchestrated across all of the different files that haven't been affected by ransomware? This is exactly what Cascade Backup can do for you. We offer free proofs of concepts. If your hardware's coming up to date, if you're about to renew your Veeam, make sure you try Cascade Backup. As I say, it's our best-selling service. And actually, we are now Druva's biggest MSP in the whole of Europe. So hopefully that gives you the confidence that Cascade is the right person to help you, alongside our ISO 27001 and Cyber Essentials Plus certifications. We had a fantastic presentation just after lunch by Britain's first female fast fighter jet pilot. Unfortunately, I've not got much to share to you. That was kind of an exclusive at Define Tomorrow. But if you get the opportunity to ever see Joe Salter speak, I highly recommend it. It was a real highlight to the audience at Define Tomorrow. Now, the final piece was we got on to cybersecurity and cybersecurity resilience. Now, this is where I'm going to invite you to something that we're going to do that is a little bit more maybe fun and engaging. But what I would also ask you to have a look at is, have you looked at the NCSE 10 steps? Have you looked at the government's guidance for what you should be doing inside your organization to make sure that your organization is as secure as it should be? Now, what myself and Nick Dyer of Arctic Wolf did live on stage at Define Tomorrow is we did a cybersecurity simulation. Everybody in the room joined us as a live attack went on inside your organization. fictitiously. We didn't actually attack your organization. And we went through the complete attack that started with a single user and ended up with a ransomware deployment across the whole organization through to recovery, looking at each of those important steps. We're going to redo that, and we're going to do it live so all of you can join us. Everybody took part. Everybody gave really good feedback that this really helped them get an understanding. I think we're going to push the date out. I'm not quite sure. No, actually, that date might be right. So feel free to register for that. I think we've got about 100 spaces available, and I think we've already got a huge amount of registration. So I think we've only got a few amount of spaces left. There's no cost for you. It's all going to be very light-hearted, so please don't feel the pressure. But hopefully it makes you think about what you're doing inside your organization and how can you ensure that you're being secure. So make sure you scan the QR code. I'm sure Megan's going to put the link up in the chat. There we go. Come and join us on that. I think it's really helpful. And if you're interested in me or one of my team coming and joining your next IT team meeting, I can do about a 30-minute cybersecurity simulation to your team. But I'd recommend you do this first because it sets a good standard for what to be looking at. We're also offering via our account managers a free cybersecurity review. So if you're kind of thinking, look, we're doing some good stuff with cybersecurity, but we probably need to review where we are. We want to get a complete picture. Reach out to your account managers and understand how we can help you. It's complimentary, it's high level, but we cover the 10 steps of cybersecurity resilience by the NCSE. And if you want to go to the deeper level, we are also able to do a Cascade Secure audit, which there is a charge and lots of our customers do take us up on. This is where we will come in each quarter and do a cybersecurity audit for you. We do external in pen test security audit. We do an east to west security audit. We look at the configuration of your Microsoft 365 Entra ID. We look at other things that are going on inside your network. We also have a conversation with you around what your cybersecurity practices inside your organization. But where this differs from a pen test is very targeted on one specific area, and they give you all of the areas you need to try and improve. This is meant as a stage before to help you prepare for what you should be doing to be more secure inside your organization. So we give you a prioritized list of actions that you should be looking at to make sure that your organization is secure. And we will then come back and review that with you quarterly, as well as rerunning the most important tests on a quarterly basis. So we've covered a lot here, and it's very, very difficult for me to cover what was about 7 hours of conference with some of the most amazing speakers in the world coming and talking into one single webinar. Thank you ever so much for everyone that has watched. I think we've managed to keep most people throughout this hour-long session. Most importantly, I ask you, what is on your journey? What are you planning on doing next within your strategy? And how can Cascade help you on that journey? Are there challenges that you need to be able to free up resource, you need to know that are just dealt with, that Cascade Services could help you with? But anyway, if it's just consultancy services, if it's projects, if it's your next virtualization refresh, ask for a free strategy planning session. We're constantly told when we win opportunities, when we get the opportunity to work with you, that where Cascade differs to the other people is our care and consideration around your strategy, helping you innovate, helping you think differently. And that's why people like working with Cascade. So from my perspective, book a planning session, no obligation. We're going to come in, we're going to listen, we're going to understand what you're doing, where's your business going, and offer you some ideas that you could utilize to help further enhance your IT strategy, your cybersecurity strategy, your workspace transformation strategy. So I really hope that you found that useful. I hope I've managed to condense core elements there into something that will be useful to you and your organization. I look forward to hopefully getting the opportunity to meet with each and every one of you over the coming weeks. Apart from that, hopefully I'll see you at Define tomorrow next year, because it's definitely the best way to